The 15th of October, 1943 to 14, over the North Sea. The night is thick, cold, and silent except for the steady hum of twin engines cutting through damp air. A British Mosquito fighter pushes through heavy clouds, its cockpit dim and tense. The pilot keeps his eyes on the radar screen, a small green glow fighting the darkness around him. Every vibration feels sharper at this height. Every sound feels louder. The sky below is a void. The sky ahead is a guess. His fingers rest near the trigger switch. He scans again, a faint blip, then a clearer one, closing fast, inside a German Ru-88 bomber. The crew hears only wind and engine roar. They trust the cloud cover to hide them. They believe the night is theirs. The navigator checks bearings, while the radio operator listens for British signals. The pilot tightens his grip on the controls as turbulence shakes the plane. None of them know a British fighter is already behind them, hidden inside the same cloud they thought would protect them. The radar lock grows stronger. The Mosquito slides closer. The German crew senses nothing, not yet. The night sky is turning into a silent trap, and the clouds that once saved them are no longer safe. This moment is only one small part of a far larger story. If you want more stories like this, make sure to subscribe, like, and share. By the early years of the Second World War, both sides searched for an advantage in the dark skies over Europe. Bombing raids at night confused defenders and reduced losses. Radar existed, but early systems were large and slow. Ground stations could track aircraft, yet fighters struggled to find targets in the air. Britain needed a way to defend its cities after sunset. Germany increased nighttime bombing against London and coastal areas. The need to guide fighters through darkness became urgent. This pressure created airborne interception radar, a new tool that joined radio waves with fast aircraft. Engineers from Britain focused on compact sets that could fit inside a fighter. The AIMK entered early service, but the range was limited. Later versions became sharper, lighter, and more reliable. Aircraft like the de Havilland Mosquito made radar even more effective. The Mosquito had a wooden frame that kept it light. Its twin Merlin engines could push it above 360 miles per hour. It climbed fast and turned smoothly. It could carry 420mm cannons, and for machine guns, strong enough to break open a bomber formation. German aircraft, like the He-111 and Ru-88, flew deep over Britain at night. They depended on darkness to protect them. New radar sets gave British crews eyes inside the clouds. The cockpit screen displayed shapes of light that showed distance and angle. These signals guided fighters close enough for a visual contact. Sometimes contact happened only seconds before firing. This changed the air war. It shaped how pilots hunted each other in the shadows. The early months were full of problems. Radar sets overheated, power cables frayed. Calibration drifted during long flights. Some fighters returned without seeing a single target. Many young pilots did not trust the new system. One early report said, "The echo vanished again. I could not tell if it was enemy or cloud." Training programs rushed crews into the air with only 20 to 30 hours of radar practice. Mistakes were common. During one training night, two fighters collided while trying to follow the same radar contact. Small screens shook during turbulence, and many operators struggled to read faint signals. German crews, listening to Allied broadcasts, mocked early radar. A captured pilot wrote in a note, "Their new device is unreliable. Clouds will save us." Losses reflected this learning curve. Some squadrons spent weeks without a confirmed interception. Magnetic interference from engine parts caused false readings. Moisture inside the nose cone blocked signals. Radar operators grew frustrated as they chased targets that vanished without warning. Even ground controllers sometimes sent fighters in the wrong direction. Early confidence dropped. Crews questioned the value of carrying extra weight for a tool. that often failed at the moment of need. The system needed improvement. Pilots needed better training. Accurate night hunting demanded more than technology. It demanded skill and discipline. As the war pushed forward, improvements arrived. By late 1942, operators gained more training hours. They learned to separate cloud returns from real aircraft. They recognized steady echoes from drifting noise. The AIMK-8 radar set brought stronger performance. It used shorter wavelengths that gave cleaner pictures. Its range stretched toward 5 miles. This gave pilots more time to plan attacks. They could approach from below and behind, positions that German crews rarely checked at night. The Mosquito's speed became a major strength. It allowed radar operators to close the distance quickly once a contact appeared. The aircraft climbed well, often reaching targets that flew at 20,000 feet. Crews learned to use shallow turns to keep the radar beam steady. They discovered that German bombers showed clear signatures that stood out sharply on the screen. With practice, radar operators guided their pilots smoothly into firing position. Many successful intercepts took only 2 to 3 minutes from first contact to final attack. Night fighters also worked with ground radar stations. Ground controllers saw large patterns. Airborne radar saw the final moments. Together they created a layered defense. German pilots began to notice these changes. Clouds no longer felt safe. Crews reported surprise attacks from fighters they never saw coming. The new radar gave British night fighters a quiet, invisible path to their prey. On the night of the 20th of February 1943, over the Dutch coast, a British Mosquito from No. 157 Squadron patrolled a route expected to catch returning German bombers. The sky was clear at first, but a cold front built thick cloud layers. Inside those clouds flew a Ru-88 from a Pathfinder group. It carried 4 crew members. Its mission had been to mark targets for a larger raid. The Ru-88 believed the cloud cover protected it on the return flight. At 1:47, ground radar detected movement along the bomber stream. Controllers vectored the Mosquito toward it. The crew climbed to 18,000 feet. The radar operator called out, "Contact. Range 4 miles." They slipped into the cloud wall. Visibility dropped to 0. The pilot trusted his instruments. The Ru-88 crew felt safe. They followed their heading without fear. The Mosquito closed in. The blip grew stronger. At 700 yards, the operator said, "Dead ahead." The pilot eased forward. A faint shape appeared. 4 cannon shots ripped into the bomber's wing. A burst of flame lit the cloud interior. The Ru-88 fell away. Only 1 crew member survived. This interception proved that cloud cover no longer guaranteed safety. Another encounter unfolded on the 12th of March in 1944 near Kiel Bay. 3 Mosquitoes patrolled against German naval strike aircraft that hunted Allied convoys. At 23:26, a small group of German torpedo bombers took off to hit a target near the Norwegian coast. Fog drifted across the sea. The bombers flew low at first, then rose to 14,000 feet to cross the shoreline. 1 Mosquito detected a contact at 3.5 miles. The German aircraft was a Heinkel. Its crew moved quietly, nervous about fuel and weather. The Heinkel pilot said to his crew, "Stay sharp. Enemy fighters may climb through this cloud." The Mosquito crew worked calmly. They tracked the Echo as it moved left. The pilot adjusted throttle settings to match speed. At 900 yards, the cloud cleared. The Heinkel appeared in the moonlit gap. The British fighter fired a controlled burst. The bomber tried to dive into the fog. The second Mosquito joined the chase. The final attack came at low altitude. The bomber hit the water minutes later. British crews returned without injury. A third event took place on the 3rd of January 1945 during a German night raid on Hull. This attack included nearly 40 aircraft, using scattered altitude and staggered timing to confuse defenders. The weather was severe. winds pushed aircraft off course. Clouds rolled in heavy layers. A Mosquito from No. 96 Squadron picked up its first target near the coastline. The radar showed a strong echo from a Dornier bomber. The operator guided his pilot through thick clouds. The Dornier crew felt the aircraft sway in the wind. The radio operator called out, "Storm ahead. Keep height." They believed the weather was their shield. The Mosquito closed slowly this time because the bomber flew at a higher altitude of 21,000 feet. The pilot struggled against turbulence that shook the wing roots. The radar operator called ranges: 1 mile, 600 yards, 300. The bomber emerged from the cloud wall in front of them. The pilot fired a long burst. The Dornier banked hard, trying to escape. A second burst struck the fuselage. The bomber lost control and spiraled down. During the same raid, Mosquito fighters intercepted 4 more aircraft. Clouds no longer hindered them. They used radar to break into German formations again and again. These missions were not easy. Crews worked under extreme stress. Radar screens demanded constant attention. A small error could lose a target. Weather pushed aircraft into dangerous situations, yet the tactics proved successful. Between late 1943 and early 1945, night fighter units intercepted hundreds of enemy bombers. Each mission showed increasing skill. Crews trusted the new technology. They trusted their aircraft. The silent contests inside clouds shaped the greater air war over Europe. Industrial strength played a major role in this shift. Britain produced thousands of radar sets by the middle years of the war. Factories built more Mosquito aircraft every month. Some months produced more than 100 airframes. Spare parts arrived by truck and rail to forward bases. Training centers taught radar operation to new recruits in shorter programs with better results. A typical night fighter squadron could fly 400 to 600 sorties in a single year. Each sortie used large amounts of aviation fuel and ammunition. The system demanded strong supply lines. Germany struggled to match this intensity. Fuel shortages limited training hours for their night fighter units. Radar development lagged behind. Their bomber crews often used old equipment. Britain managed to field stronger night defense networks. These networks forced the enemy to reconsider nighttime bombing strategies. German pilots felt the psychological weight of this change. At first, clouds felt like natural cover. Later, they felt like hiding places with no guarantee of safety. A Luftwaffe diary entry from 1944 said, "Something follows us in silence. It sees through the clouds." Crews invented slang for the unseen threat. Some called the Mosquito the wooden ghost because they often heard gunfire before seeing anything. Others spoke of sudden flashes in the night, followed by loss of control. Morale dropped as more aircraft failed to return. Air crews flew with tighter nerves. They scanned the darkness even when radar showed nothing. The fear of silent interception shaped every mission. Many crews flew shorter routes or changed altitude often. But these adjustments rarely saved them. The fear stayed with them long after landing. By the later stages of the war, airborne radar became sharper and more reliable. The AIMKX offered great accuracy. It gave a clear picture at longer distances. Crews could attack from greater ranges. The Mosquito also evolved. Some variants carried improved engines. Others carried small radar dishes with better signal focus. New tactics called for coordinated interceptions. Fighters flew in pairs or groups while sharing information with ground control. Crews practiced silent approaches that used minimal radio communication. Night fighting grew into a precise skill shaped by technology, training, and experience. These improvements made Allied night fighters some of the most effective defensive tools of the conflict. By the end of the war in Europe, night fighters equipped with radar destroyed many German bombers. Some squadrons reported more than 120 confirmed kills. Losses on the British side remained lower than expected due to the Mosquito's speed and agility. Radar transformed night combat from guesswork into a guided hunt. Crews who once doubted the system now trusted it. The skies that once hid bombers became transparent to the right equipment. A German veteran later said, "We feared what we could not see. The moment their radar found us, the fight was already lost." This judgment came from experience. Radar ended the belief that darkness granted safety. It carved a new path in air warfare. Its legacy shaped every night interception that followed.